What if pleasure wasn't a luxury, but a language? The one that your body has been waiting for you to remember. In this episode of Reproductive Rebel, I sit down with Sacha Fossa and we explore the Sensual Erotic Blueprint, where healing happens through touch, texture, scent, and sound. We'll talk about how sensual energy supports your nervous system, restores hormonal harmony, and reconnects you with your body's natural rhythm of wholeness. Join me and Sacha for the art of savoring sensual energy as a path to wholeness, because sometimes slowing down is the most radical act of rebellion. Hi, I'm Adrienne Irizarry. I'm an East Asian medicine practitioner who is passionate about women's health and helping women to live their best lives. My goal is to put you in the driver's seat of your health, offering holistic solutions for a symptom-free life. Statements made in this program are for educational purposes only and not intended as a substitution for medical consultation or advice. We do not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure any diseases. This podcast is inclusive and welcomes all gender identities. The focus of the program is on biological function, and we will use the term women throughout, but it is referencing physiological and social challenges for biology, not identity. Come as you are, I am happy you're here and welcome all performances of identity. I hope you find something helpful in this show. Welcome back to another episode of the Reproductive Rebel podcast. I am so excited to welcome back again to the show the ever-talented and full of wisdom, Sacha Fossa. Welcome back to the show, Sacha.
Thank you, Adrienne. Very happy to be here.
So if you have not been listening, you have missed out on some really good stuff. We've talked about Tantra. We've talked about sexual blueprints. We've talked about how to have the best sex and love life. So if you have not caught one of these amazing episodes that I have already done with Sacha, please go back in season 4. Take a look at these awesome episodes. She is a wealth of information. But I find that people ask a lot of questions around their best sex and love life. So we have started taking the deeper dive into the blueprints so that we can talk in a little more defined detail around the different ways that people energetically show up. So instead of getting ahead of myself, I'm just going to have Sacha give you a little high level overview of her amazing work, and then we'll dive right into the Sensual Blueprint.
Perfect. My name's Sacha Fossa. My business is Sacred Temple Arts. The sacred temple is your body. And I have been in the healing somatic arts, erotic, intimate arts for 25 years, training, studying, living, breathing, all of it. It's what I'm most passionate about. And so my work is really to custom design programs for all of my clients to create their best sex and love life, whatever that means to them in terms of what they really, truly most desire in some of these most important parts of their life. I have a master's in healing arts and sciences. I have tons and tons of credentials throughout these different fields. So I combine, I'm a coach, I'm an educator, I'm a healing arts practitioner. All of that goes into hacking for you, what your best sex and love life looks like, whether it's wellness challenges or just getting more. Even if your sex and love life is fantastic, clients come to me just for more. I'm all about getting everybody the more, whatever that is for them, and ongoing, the more of what really feeds them. I'm an erotic blueprint coach. So we've been diving into all of these blueprints, which is essentially how you're wired erotically. We did the energetic the last time. Today we're diving into the sensual. You can reach me at sacredtemplearts.com. You can also go there to sign up for a complimentary call, as well as take the erotic blueprint quiz. through my site there and get the paid reports so that you'll know for yourself what are your primary and secondary. Actually, yeah, the paid report will give you all the blueprints. And it's a 30-page printout. It's quite extensive of the information. And basically, this is one of the most important things you could discover about yourself and your partner or partners to create a better sex and love life. So I teach Tantra and all these different things that we're bringing it all together here in a series of these podcasts so that people can really get a taste of these wonderful pathways.
Absolutely. It's so important, though, because we have such a narrow box of understanding of sex, sexuality, sexual performance in Western culture. And so when I met Sacha, I was like, can we just do all the episodes together? Because like she just has such a depth of knowledge, but she explains things so well, which we are going to hear her wisdom again today as we take a look at the sensual blueprint. So energetic. We talked about like how things feel, I mean, even without being able to touch. And the sensual is more of that, how things feel on the body, around the body, in the environment, which sounds a little reminiscent of what we were talking about energetically, but it has far more to do with the physicality.
Yeah. And comfort. I see the sensual, and we'll talk about the positive sides and then the shadow sides because everything has its polarities. The energetic being about energy and needs space, spaciousness, and energetic orgasms that are possible with all of the energy. The sensual, in each of these episodes, too, just a reminder for people, I'm embodying the blueprint. So I really came to this with a soft top on. It's very velvety and sensual to me. And my feather earrings, minimal makeup because that doesn't feel good on my body. And I have some other things we'll play with while I'm here talking to you today. But I encourage you to notice as you watch these episodes, can you start to feel and embody each of the blueprints as we're talking about them? And maybe you probably have some of it in you. Are you in the shadows? Or are you in the positive sides? And also anybody in your life that you really care about, understanding their blueprints helps you to understand how to erotically feed them, or even just in everyday life to feed, which you'll see what we mean by that in a few minutes as we dive deeper in. But it's like sensuals like to do things slow and they like things comfortable. And it's all about the senses with the sensual, right? So to feed the senses, you would want to be really attentive to your environment, to what's around you. Sensuals don't really do well with clutter or things that are ugly, to be honest. They are the most aesthetically attuned out of the blueprints. So somebody, if they're in their sensually wired high in this blueprint, you would want to have the lighting right and the temperature right for them to be able to drop into their bodies and really enjoy any intimate experience. No laundry around or things that are disturbing them. The environment should be aesthetically pleasing. Essential can be like Goldilocks, which is a shadow side though. Everything needs to be just right in a lot of ways. That is definitely a shadow, but it's one that comes up a lot with sensuals. I tend to get a lot of clients that the woman is high sensual and their partner is maybe more high sexual or kinky, and she's more sensual and energetic or just a high sensual. And there can be just some major disruptions around their intimate lives because Other blueprints are coming in really strong, the sexual, especially in the kinky blueprint, or a shapeshifter wants it all and more. They're coming in strong. And the sensual is like, I need to relax to have sex. These other blueprints, especially the sexual, needs to have sex to relax. So, like strong kink, you kind of like things to maybe be a little like edgy and like your environment to be. When I'm in more of a kinky mood, I like the cold sex toy or just hot wax or different, I really like to get into those edges. But when you're in the sensual, it's like, just really relax. They need to relax. They need to relax their bodies. They need to relax their mind, most importantly. Sensual shadow can be all of this like monkey mind and not able to relax into the moment, right? It's like, oh, I can't have, my orgasm was here and then it left because I was worried about the kids wherever they are right now. Or I was thinking about the laundry suddenly that's sitting in the washing machine, or it can be so many different things. My partner, my man, is actually very high sensual, but he doesn't portray it in the way I'm describing. He doesn't really care that much about what he wears, to be honest. I'm like, can we start dressing you better? Wouldn't you prefer some softer clothes and some things like feel good, look good? And he's like, I'm a guy. Like, he just doesn't have strong sensual in that sense, but he is particular about what he eats, right? The sensual, like things have to taste good, smell good, look good, right? All the aspects. And some people have some stronger than others. I have it all. My environment, every pillow needs to be in the exact right spot. Everything needs to look pretty. Everything needs to smell good. I always have diffusers running with 100% natural essential oils. I'm always using essential oils, putting them around me and on me. And in my baths, I'm a huge fan of baths. Sensuals tend to, they have good everyone should have good hygiene, but they are especially about good hygiene and baths and warmth and the nurturance of taking care of slowing down and tuning into the body and feeding it in all the ways, right? They can have food orgasms. So I brought a little chocolate with me. I thought we'd explore that in a bit. Do you have any chocolate with you? Think about, for essentials, kind of like a good question that I learned from my mentor, Jaya, which I should have said this in the intro. Jaya was the creator of these blueprints. So she talks though more about all of the blueprints from the perspective of we are all imprinted in different ways, but we may all have been born with all of them, right? So there's some mix of it in you, and to just kind of see what that is, right? And so as I was saying about my man, he has not really the sensual in terms of like clothing and looks and certain things. He certainly doesn't need every pillow in the right place, that kind of thing. But he gets most aroused from his sensual when he's just massaging me or touching bodies and massaging with oil and receiving. He loves. So if we talked energetic touch, you could practice energetic touch would be either like off the body, playing with energy, or like very light hovering touch or barely touching the hairs on your body, right? But the sensual touch is like full hand massage, right? Most types of massage, a lot of massages, it's all sensual relaxation. So like his biggest hands, just taking my hands and just sensually, slowly moving on his body. And it's like all of the goosebumps, which is actually erectile tissue going up. And you can just see him melt. So that's that high essential of like, they need a lot of touch to their bodies unless they're in the shadow side. And then there's an issue going on of where they're oversensitive or they haven't been touched right. They had to find the right slowness, the right temperature, the right thing that feels good for you in terms of sensual. Shall I go on, or do you have anything that you want to add in here so far? I'm going to have a sip of my tea that I brought just for the special sensual session we're having.
So I was actually going to say the way that you describe the sensual, it sounds more like what we stereotypically
Ooh,
think is the female understanding, experience, relationship with sex, where it has to be this like set environment. And I say it that way because one, I want to dispel the myth that men aren't sensual, which I'm glad you already spoke to. But the other piece is that not all women are driven by this blueprint. And I feel like when you see it in movies, it's set up through the gaze of a woman, right? And so the environment is this candle lit with rose petals and this kind of experience, or it's set up like a more stereotypical, like sexual blueprint, which is they come together and they start going straight to penetrative action. And it's like one extreme or the other, which is a polarization of masculine and feminine energy on screen.
yeah.
So the fact that there, one, is a spectrum, two, these blueprints can live in any body, I think is really important.
And they do.
They absolutely do. So would you say that the sensual is more of what we stereotypically think of as like a feminine way of being sexual?
The sexual blueprint is considered to be, according to Jai, the cultural norm. But according to their research, which at this point they've said it's been over 2 million people have taken this quiz, the erotic blueprint quiz. So again, go to my website, sacredtemplearts.com, take the quiz. Basically, through their analytics, there is a slight amount of more women sensual and more, well, self-identified males and females, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are in the sensual for women and sexual for men. But I have seen it all across the board, and so has she. And the larger thing of the research that's important is that the blueprints are more evenly distributed across all genders, right? So the major piece to unlock here, people, is that there's all of these different ways to play in the erotic. And if you're in one sandbox, you're missing out on so many possibilities. And most likely you and your partner are not in the same sandbox. And it's really boring if you are, and that's the only one you play in.
Unless you're a shapeshifter.
Right. If you're a shapeshifter, then you're in all of 5 sandboxes all the time, right? And we'll get to more of that when we do the shapeshifter, but the shapeshifter is that expansion, right? And I'll just say for myself though, so I am a shapeshifter, and sensual, it's funny because I think it's my least important in terms of like the erotic, because I am super high energetic and super sexual and super kinky, but I realize it's just because I always make sure that the sensual is already there. Like I am always comfortable in my body, wearing things that make me feel pretty, generally speaking, are comfortable. And I make sure the room is the right, whatever. I take these long, luxurious baths with salts and oils and all the things to get myself back into my feminine, sensual side when I'm not. My partner lovingly calls me sir when I am not in my And when he does, I immediately want to go do something sensual and make myself come back to.
Yeah.
Just because I don't like being in the man. I'm not very pretty in my man mode. That's just my thing, right? It's okay for me to do it, to be the boss babe, sometimes my own business and so forth. But, you know, it's not that sexy to my partner.
I actually kind of wish my partner would be like Sir, because like sometimes I don't even realize I'm doing it.
Yes.
And well, and I think some of it too is that women tend to launch into more masculine energy and being action oriented and a means of control for safety.
Yes.
Right. And so,
Vigilance center. We have these vigilance centers. And that is what the sensual gets totally turned off when they get into that. But I'm glad you brought up safety, because actually it's safety and comfort and trust, right? Which a lot of people say women in general need that for any type of turn on. I mean, most people, unless you're super high kink and you intentionally want to have things feeling taboo and edgy, but even then, you're creating it so that you're doing it within a safe container.
right.
The whole thing's based on safety, right? So maybe we all, as humans, in some ways, we like to have, even my partner who loves thrills, like he's really into thrills, has been his whole life. And because he also has a lot of kink, there's still like a piece of control, right? And the safety aspect in place and the consent. Yeah. And it's like when he called me Sir for the first time, I said, would you please do that for the rest of our lives that we're together? Like, because that's going to immediately make me sit back and go, ooh, do I want to be like Sir?
Yeah.
I want to go back to like Sacha.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I feel like it's so funny that we're like having this conversation right now because my husband and I are in this experience as well, where we're both more shapeshifters, but and our proportions are slightly different, right? But right now, because we have this little human in our house, we're finding ourselves far more in the sensual because the environment has to be right. Otherwise, it's like we have the baby crying or we've got a pile of laundry on the bed or like something like that. And we're both like, ah, but it's so funny. Like, as you were talking about like sensuals, like with the hygiene and the clothing and all that kind of stuff, like my husband's got to be high in the sensual aspect of his shapeshifter because he's always been really big on hygiene. He cannot stand clutter. His living experience has to look and be a certain way. Like clothing and outfits have always, like, I've never been with a guy who has been so focused on that aspect of the way he moves through the world. And it's one of the things I love about him. He always looks amazing and smells delicious and all of these things.
Yeah.
So this is always a good thing. But
this
like
is the keynote to take away, people. Men, when you have high sensual and you do these things, it's hot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Hot.
Oh my gosh, yes.
It's very hot.
But he also makes it look effortless. Like you can tell it's just
even hotter
who he is.
Yes.
And it totally is. But I never thought about it that way. So like even though I'm familiar with Jaya's work, like until you mentioned it that way. So for anybody who's listening to this and this is a new concept to you, this is why we're doing these deeper dive episodes around these blueprints, because you are, like Sacha said, you're going to see aspects of yourself in all of them. But you may have these big aha moments around maybe where you're disconnecting, either yourself or from your partner, or your partner seems to have a disconnect. And sometimes when having conversations are hard, you may be able to, by listening to these episodes and going, oh, they need more of this thing. All of a sudden, you're meeting them in a space that they need. And it like opens the door.
Yes. Yeah. It can save your relationships. You know, it really can. It will not just create so much greater an expansion. It will be life-saving to relationships and to your well-being to understand these blueprints. They bleed out everywhere into your world, into everything. So it's so important and it helps so much. And when you become more masterful in it, like, you know that if you're getting into something with your husband, right, you probably both need to resource yourselves in some sensual blueprint. because you're in the contraction, right? Or like you need to get some comfort and some ease. A lot of times for young parents, let's face it, you need rest, right? You need rest. Yeah. And I discovered that, like, with my partner, with his sensual, that if I don't let him rest, then he can't relax and be ready for like the 5-hour sex date that I planned for us to have. Because I'm like, let's go. I mean, I'm ready all the time. There's never a time that I'm not ready.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to be with, but I see this over and over again, that if a different blueprint comes in and they override the sensual's needs, the sensual, whereas an energetic will just like shut down and short circuit, sensual will be like close to orgasm, and then it becomes elusive. Like, I was just there, right? Yes. What happened? And I teach not just like orgasm as like climax. I teach waves of orgasm, 20 different types of orgasms. We'll talk more on other podcasts about that. But essentially, the sensual will just like totally get shut down. Of even things like your partner has bad breath, right? Or I do this a lot. Like I have clients, a lot of male clients, and I'll be like, okay, and your home play is to get a pedicure this week, along with the things I add in. Because like if you're high sensual, you don't want to look at feet that don't look good and like are well kept. Feet are fun to play with in the bedroom and should be well maintained. Like fingernails, like all of it. It's like the details of things. Now, shadow sides of sensuals, though, and I've seen this repeatedly, is they may be totally icked out about normal fluids, right? Like to the point where they don't want to kiss their partner on the mouth and share saliva anymore. Yep. They will not do oral sex, right? And a lot of times they don't even receive it. It becomes this very deep shadow side of grossed out by fluids that needs to be addressed and healed for the person, because you're missing out on so many. I mean, I guess if you want to be like that for the rest of your life, that's your prerogative. But generally speaking, I mean, the sensuality of kissing when it's done right in the person's blueprints and all of that, and the ways to feed the body in these blueprints. It's kind of like the difference too between like a person that'll just like shove food into their mouths, right? And like eat really fast, right? Or some of us, I guess we could all probably do that sometimes, but like, or are you like every bite, right? Having food gasms, enjoying the taste in your mouth, right? Really experiencing the beauty and savoring, right? Every piece of the experience. In that, I'm a total foodie, so I love to like make sound and like have orgasms in my mouth, eating and drinking wonderful things. And I like to bring that into the bedroom, because why not? Right? Make it part of your date night experience.
Yeah. Well, so this is where I love these conversations, because they challenge some of what we consider quote unquote normal. Like I see a sensual bringing a fruit and cheese board into their bedroom experience rather than it being like separate. And it like pushes the envelope in terms of thinking about, well, what could meaningfully be part of this experience? Let's get creative around it. I love what you said about being a foodie, because I am a wicked foodie. It's so hard to be a foodie when you have celiac too, man. But one thing I love to do with my husband is we always go and check out new restaurants. And we love to like, we coordinate our dishes. Like I get something, he gets something, and then we'll get bites off each other because we want to try all the things. And
that's what we do too, because we're shapeshifters.
I love that.
Yeah, we want more variety. We share everything, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what you're saying too with the sensuals, we can take this whole food concept, right? into the bedroom. So in porn, right, which is terrible, so it has its place in some ways, but in general, most of what's out there is garbage, educational wise and more. Another topic for a different podcast. But so you see oral sex for like fellatio is like,
Yeah.
right? No, what if you could sensually enjoy your partner's cock just like you could like an ice cream sundae?
Right.
Or whatever it is that you love to eat, like pleasuring it just completely with your mouth in all the ways that feel good to your mouth and your body, that slow and sensualness. And same with like kissing. I do have some on my YouTube channel, by the way, for everyone, Sacha's Sacred Temple Arts YouTube channel. I have a playlist on best fellatio, cunnilingus, and also kissing. Those were done before I knew the blueprints. They're pretty old, but they're very good in terms of all kinds of ways to expand in these oral arts that are really like, I've had sensuals that like they don't want to kiss their partner because their partner doesn't know how to kiss them sensually.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're somebody out there with this issue, try asking to play a game with your partner. Watch my kissing videos, play a kissing game where you kiss them for 5 minutes the way you wish they kissed you. So you're teaching them, right?
Yes.
How to kiss you, and then switch and see what they do, right? I mean, that's one thing I have to really like. I know I'm a repeat offender as a person who loves to kiss, but I like to kiss sexually. Like I love like a tongue way down my mouth. So I think my partner likes that too, but that is not his favorite thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it like expands upon this idea that like generally we really don't know how sex works in Western culture. Like we know the P goes in the V, but like that's it, right? Yeah. And this takes it a step further that like our traditionally thought sexual blueprint isn't the only way to do this. So holy crap, there could be an entire spectrum of kissing. And every time you mention things like this, I'm like, oh, I see this in my own relationship because my husband's the first person who ever like could kiss me correctly. Like I didn't feel like there was slobber coming out of my face and like all like that was so distracting for me.
Yes. See? Yep. That's a high sensual thing right there, right? I feel like I don't care about slobber. Just get it in, get me more of it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I would. I'm not sure. It's because I always make sure my sensual is always taken care of, I guess, because it's so important to me. Like, I don't even like to be in environments that are ugly, like, or not like, I mean, I am really like a princess about these things. It's like, okay, like my body, if like I'm going to go fly somewhere, I'm like, I'm only going if it's going to be first class because my body does not like to be coach. My body likes to live in a house that's at least almost 3,000 square feet. And we need beauty around us. We need to leave beautiful things. It's all about the aesthetics and the comfort and the sensual. And then when all that's fed, I can go into the other blueprints. But it's really important if you're with someone with a high sensual to address and you can't just do it once, people. You have to do it like over and over again, right? So if I had a high sensual, like a really high sensual, and I wanted to like woo them and get them into bed with me that night or something, right? And have some intimate play, they like would come to my house and I would like give them like just a warm hug and make sure everything was taken care of, invite them in, have them put on some more comfortable clothes, feed them their favorite meal, get them resourced and like enjoying all the food, relaxation, right? Then like a bath or a warm shower and have the room set up beautifully and with all their favorite snacks and the music. Oh my God. Music, if like it's the wrong song, like the sensual, just again, like you need just the right playlist. Yep.
I attributed that to being a musician.
That's funny, right? Could be either, but
Oh my word.
I would say musicians and those of us who are naturally in the arts, we have to have sensual somewhere in our blueprint, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I would say that would hold true. But especially healing arts, because we touch, right? And we're touching, massaging, we're doing things this way. But certainly the intimate arts and the fact that women's bodies are very different in terms of arousal. And so Esther Perel says foreplay starts at the moment of your last orgasm, right? And that's something to really think about with sensuals is that they want to be fed constantly with foreplay. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And aftercare, they need the foreplay and the aftercare, right? So the aftercare might be cuddling. We're an energetic, and I'm in my high energetic after sex. I'm like, I need space. I need to be away from anybody and probably go lay on the earth or something by myself and regroup. But when I'm in my sensual, it's all about that oxytocin high of bonding. Yep. And I want to be all like little spoon and like warm and cozy.
Yeah. Well, oh my goodness. So you say a lot of this, and it's like I am a shapeshifter, but I actually think I've been sitting in high energetic and high sensual for a lot of my life because, as somebody who, like, I don't have a long list of partners. Things had to be a certain way in order for me to be cool with the idea. And like, in some ways it's good, but in some ways, like, I don't feel like I was able to like really live parts of my life either because it felt very restrictive. You said something about when I'm in this or when I'm in that, and this is how it shows up. But I also kind of want to put out there, like, sometimes life circumstances can make one step to the forefront a little more as
absolutely
that, like, just because, like, maybe you took this quiz, like, I don't know, 5 years ago even, and life happens, right? So you may find that you even start to identify with one of these, like, oh, I'm a really high energetic. Okay, well, that's not going to go away. However, it means that there may be more balance between it and another one of these blueprints as you move through the circumstances of your life changing.
Yes. We could do a whole podcast too on sexuality stages, which Jaya teaches the 5 different stages. I won't go into that here too much. She'll just say that the blueprints will change over time, that you'll have higher amounts of some and others. And there can sometimes be massive changes that happen, whether it's through birth, death, traumas, relationship changes, the whole gamut of life's experience, right? So it's really good to have that awareness to see and know, oh, wow. And for females, a lot of times, well, we're always cycling. Even if we've gone through menopause, there's still cycles happening. And for men, they have different cycles as well in a 24-hour period, as we know. But essentially, the cycles affect, right? So a lot of women will find that they end up in the sensual shadow big time right before menstruation. And so that's a time to really start nurturing and doing all the good things like the bath and slowing down and more orgasms and whatever, like ways that you can just relax and receive more and slower pace, right? That kind of thing, because I know my sensual shadow goes nuts. Like everything is pissing me off and needs to be like perfect. Like, I mean, perfect. I'm like, oh my God, like that's dirty. I don't like this. This doesn't taste good. What the? Like,
yeah.
She goes,
I witness like you in that.
Oh my God. Like, I'll be like, the lawn needs mowed. I can't take it. Like, and like the rest of the like things won't be that severe. And so I'll know like when I'm headed a certain direction in my hormones, what's going on. And I have to make extra sure to feed the sensual. So we have said this in other podcasts, but we should reiterate again. You have to feed yourself back into the positive side of a blueprint, right? You have your partner feed you, or feeding yourself. Can't always rely on the outside, right? And they may need help to let them know how to feed you back, right? But I would bet probably with you and your husband, you guys like just trying to get sleep. It's like being able to eat while you're feeding everybody else and all the things that you're doing, that feeding your sensual out of the shadows, right? Of so much of what it takes to care for young babies. But you have teens too. And so you're doing the whole gamut, right?
Oh, yeah. And that's an adventure in and of itself, because now all of a sudden there's an awareness that exists in my house that mom and dad do things. Because now we have a baby to prove it.
Yes, exactly.
So it's like then this whole like mind explosion with teenagers, like, oh my gosh, dad and mom do this thing. And like one of the things that we've talked about since we've had our son is like, yes, he in and of himself makes it hard to like connect in the ways that we want to connect in. But now we have this extra layer of, oh, I heard you guys doing things last night. I was like, no, you didn't, because nothing happened. Like they just think they think of things and they assume.
That's the sensual blueprint too. It's another piece to touch in on. The shadow of the sensual blueprint, besides monkey mind, is that they project onto others worry and things that they think are true that may or may not be, right? So that especially happens with like partners when you're in the sensual shadow of, you're like, oh, you know, I bet that they blah, blah, blah. And you're thinking this stuff in your head and it may or may not be true, but you're projecting instead of showing up and being present and asking questions and being aware and gentle and more in the sensual of how to approach it. That shadow side can be really difficult. And I see it in a lot of couples where the shadow is prominent. And it's sad because, you know, I see so many couples not having the sex that they want or any sex. There's so many relationships that are more and more like less and less sex going on. And that's just these blueprints, getting out of the shadows and finding ways to communicate in them and to express in them freely and to enjoy your own body, let alone others' bodies. I've also found a sensual shadow, a very strong one, will sometimes be a woman that doesn't want to touch herself, right? Doesn't want to actually, especially touch her pussy, put fingers inside, stimulate herself, have herself, bring herself to types of arousal and orgasm. There's like this major blockage along with some of the things like the repulsion of sexual fluids and so forth that can happen. And your body actually needs to be able to be touched all over, right? It's actually it's a basic health tenet in my opinion, but
yeah, absolutely. Because certain kinds of touch help certain kinds of hormonal responses and neurological chemical responses. And so like there is an actual physiological need for connection and touch. And when we starve ourselves of that, or I'm thinking about the sensual, but she's a mother who has little people touch her all day. Obviously, that's not the kind of touch that she's like at the beginning of the day. Yes. And then she gets overstimulated and touched out. Yes. Like it makes it very hard to then be open and receptive to her partner for further kinds of touch. And then they feel shut down and it's a whole thing. So like,
yes,
it's the sensual one. I feel like there are a lot of people who experience it, and maybe until this conversation, they haven't identified that in themselves. But it's one that I feel like can really be a big driver behind shutting relationships down.
Yes, for sure. I've seen a lot of the energetic and sensual shadows being major problem. I mean, any of the blueprints, any of the shadows can be major problems. But if it's specific to having less and less sex, right? Generally, kinky and sexuals and shapeshifters are going to make sure that they're figuring out how to get sexual needs met in their particular blueprints. Whereas the sensual may just be like, well, I can get fed in all these other ways. I don't need to have sex, like an actual more like penetrative or sexual like intimacy, because they're good with just a massage, right?
Yeah.
Or the energetics, like I don't even need touch. Like I can do things without any touch. I like space. I like whatever. And so, yeah, it can really be tough on those who really want to have more of the experience, of course, of connection with physical bodies and intimate play, which I think we all need for basically to be healthy as humans. So that's why my job personally, the way I see it, is my programs are designed to help clients in the blueprints, but in many other aspects. But with the blueprints, how to get them out of the shadows of their blueprints, educated on the blueprints, get them out of the shadows of the blueprints, feeding the positive sides of the blueprints, then how do the blueprints play together? But then eventually I teach about all the blueprints, learning how to play games in all the blueprints, learning all the touches in the blueprints, and doing that and experiencing it. And then you learn how to stack the blueprints so that your sexual experiences can be these dynamic and expansive and fun experiences in new ways that will feed you out of being so dominant in maybe one or two blueprints, and again, more towards. So I just want to make everybody a shapeshifter, basically, because it's so much more fun, says the shapeshifter.
Well, but just like you said earlier on in the show, though, being able to be versatile and well-versed enough in all of the blueprints, you're able to meet your own needs, meet the needs of your partner, that type of thing, instead of it being like this, okay, it's just another day at the office and it's the same way, the same formula, the same outcome. Or maybe you get to a point where because it's the same formula all the time, you don't get to the same outcome. And that's where people like really start feeling dissatisfied. They don't feel attractive anymore. They don't feel like their partner sees them or wants to be with them. Like it just turns into this really big spiral.
Yes.
So all of you listening, you need to go to Sacha's website. This is imperative for your relationship health, for your emotional health, for your physical health, being magnetic for what it is that you're trying to attract into your life. Like this kind of understanding of who you are and your turn on literally is the magnet for the things that you want in your life.
Yes. I'll just say quickly about your daughter or son, whichever, the teenager that's projected, right? You can even just so that people can take this away to any relationships. Well, an high energetic would have said nothing, right? Mostly they would staying away from that, right?
Yes.
Not my circus kind of thing. Yeah. Any of that could be like more energetic. The sensual projects, right? That you were doing things, yeah. And doing things instead of like you were fucking, maybe you were having sex, right? The sexual would just be like, heard you and dad doing it last night.
Yeah, and just statement of fact. Here we are.
Fact, no big deal, no shame really in it, right? Like a kinky would do something different with it, maybe create something taboo or like play with it and maybe just do a power play, whatever. It would be something different. It's just to kind of see, though, how those, even just that one response, right? Something could give you a little insight to someone else.
Yeah. So this is why this is so important for people to understand, though. And I am so grateful that you took the time to come on and share your expertise around the Sensual Blueprint. Please like, follow, share all the things, depending on where you find this episode. because we're going to continue on this journey through the blueprints and this discovery around really who are you, what motivates you, what turns you on. And these are designed to be a launch pad so that you can talk to your partner, so that you can gain some insight into yourself, and then reach out to Sacha and get a deeper knowledge and a practical how to be able to apply these things in your life and your relationships. Thank you so much for joining me today, Sacha. And until next time, everybody. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Reproductive Rebel. Reproductive Rebel is recorded by certified peri-steam hydrotherapist and acutonics practitioner, herbalist, and Chinese nutritional therapist, Adrienne Irizarry of Moon Essence LLC. If you are interested in setting up an appointment for one-on-one support, ordering from our store, or checking out our course offerings, visit our website at moonessence.life. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter and get insider information on upcoming events and offerings. Join the conversation. Like and follow us at Moon Essence Me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Your voices make this program possible. Thank you all for your continued support.